Harry, I was going to review Spider-Man Team Up 60 today, but on Saturday I decided to pull the trigger and rename myself Son of Capwolf. I can finally stop worrying about Christopher Clairvoyant fanboys thinking that they have owned me by pointing out that I have a Christopher Clairvoyant character as an avatar. So this is Captain America 402, the first part of the Capwolf story. And I did do a video about this a long time ago. It was a gigantic piece of shit, but I think I managed to get across a lot of the things that make Capwolf more than just a bad story. I think despite not planning it whatsoever, and not even knowing the right pages to turn to when discussing certain things, I always felt I had adequately gotten across the level of disaster the story is. What will be interesting is, upon looking at it on an issue by issue basis, there will be some quirks. It is not until part 3 or part 4 that it really goes off the rails. The most zany thing is that this first part, there is not much of anything to fault it for. It's okay. If Capwolf was just part 1 and there wasn't 7.5 issues after it, we would be calling all one issue of Capwolf a great downtime issue. Our writer for this is long-term Captain America writer Marky Mark G, with artwork by Ricardo Leavenworth. This is easily the most famous output from the G and Leavenworth run on Captain America. Famous for the wrong reasons. But I maintain that it is nowhere near as awful as people like to pretend it is. It is a rubbish story, but it's not the worst comic ever printed. And as already said, this issue is absolutely agreeable, because I am too afraid to call it good. Our setup is that there is a werewolf on the loose, and this ties into an ongoing subplot in the series. Captain America's personal pilot, J.K. Jonah Jameson Jr., has gone missing. And of course, he used to, at one point, be Man-Wolf, a werewolf character in the Bronze Age. A Spider-Man rogue who then spun off into his own tales. Pun intended. No, Man-Wolf didn't have a tail, I don't think. Man-Wolf was actually one of the first characters to spin off into their own solo stories from Spider-Man series. Jorge Perez did some of them. The point to take away from all that should be that one of the book's supporting characters had once been one of Marvel's major werewolf characters. So, a Captain America story about that supporting character going into the topic of werewolves is not unreasonable. If you were going to do a J.K. Jonah Jameson Jr. story, it makes sense if him having history as a werewolf would be brought up. We have werewolf killings, and now Wolfman from the Excellent Men is shown up to investigate them, and that will be a chief problem with this story. Wolfman is an intrusive guest star, and it turns out the name I have bestowed upon him makes his inclusion seem less out there. A drinking game I have suggested is to have a drink every time an issue of Marky Mark J's Captain America opens with Captain America working out. Another one here. Him and D-Man are benching weights. D-Man had recently returned to the title. He had been lost at sea about 50 issues ago, and then during Operation Galaxy Quest, the villain Flagman found D-Man and held him captive, but U.S.Agent and Falcon Man were able to free him. Now he is back at Avengers House, but he seems to be suffering from PTSD, and he is non-responsive. We have a full page of Team Admin here. Captain America is quitting the Avengers and leaving Scarlett Johansson in charge. In one of her first acts as Avengers leader, Scarlett Johansson will kick D-Man out of Avengers House, and that always came off as unsympathetic and quite ungrateful to Captain America. Captain America is going in search of his missing pilot. He uses the Avengers' exclusive uplink to the Marvel Andy books to research the Moon Gem, which was responsible for transforming J.K. Jonah Jameson Jr. into a werewolf. He ponders if this Moon Gem has anything to do with Moonstomp or other similarly powered characters. And in Thunderbars, Fabio Nicieza reveals that to be the case. They are all alien gems of Kree people origin. He goes to interview the last people who dealt with Manwolf. J.K. Jonah Jameson Jr. was seemingly cured of his affliction, and his moon gem turned to dust in the pages of Spectator Spider-Man Annual 3. Spider-Man and Lizard-Man were involved. I will have read it, but I have no memory of it whatsoever. Although I do want to add, only recently in Avengers, fill-ins by Marky Mark J, J.K. Jonah Jameson Jr. was being plagued by nightmare visions of becoming Manwolf again. Next page introduces us to a new character who will be an antagonist for this story, Moonhugger. He is a werewolf hunter. He is a bounty hunter. He has an incredibly 90s comic book design, but I've got to be honest, I don't think it's outright bad. I think Moonhugger could have gone a bit further. It's really not the most ugly 90s thing a comic has ever presented. Here, He has a pit full of captured werewolves. One of the novel ideas we have is we are going to touch base with almost all of Marvel's werewolf characters, including Wolfman, who is not a wolf. But this is showing us Moonhugger, and Moonhugger does appear some more in Marky Mark G's run after this story, but never again after. He did get an Andy book profile though. In the 2010 Avengers Andy book, he had a profile. He had one in the 90s Master Edition too, actually. One of the final issues. The next scene is one of the best of the story. Having this near the start of the thing works somewhat to make your feelings towards the bad story that follows seem complicated. Captain America goes to visit J.K. Jonah Jameson's to ask if he has seen his son recently. And it is a nice scene. J.K. Jonah Jameson's explains how proud he is that his son was working for Captain America. He talks about how he doesn't care for costumed heroes, but he considers Cap a good one. And then he pleads with Captain America to find his son. It is a real decent interlude. And there will be several cases of this throughout the story, but what it suggested to me was a better idea. What if the story has been Captain America and J.K. Jonah Jameson's teaming up to go in search of Man-Wolf? Captain America has been trying to contact Doctor Strange, believing that the supernatural is likely involved when it comes to Man-Wolf. But Doctor Strange hasn't been available, so Captain America has to settle for Dr. Doom. I feel I need to explain a lot to excuse Captain America turning to a shithead for help. And also why Dr. Doom has A. Dr. Doom was a disgraced Avenger. He took over the team using his mental powers, all in the quest of scoring some time-travelling punani. He and his would-be lover were lost in the time sphere, and nobody cared because Dr. Doom had mentally violated the entire team of Avengers. He unfortunately returned, having been restored to a more youthful appearance by his time in the time sphere. And then he was in countless issues of Doctor Strange. It was an attempt at redemption wherein the character never truly repents, but some writers felt the need to redeem the character in readers' eyes by jamming him down our throats without ever having him atone. Marky Mark J was the editor who was in charge of the Avengers title when Dr. Doom made them his playthings. So he seems more personally motivated to try to redeem Dr. Doom. The problem is twofold. First is that he never really accounts for his past actions. She-Hulks in particular felt like she had been traumatised by what Dr. Drew made her do. It was probably sex things. And then the bigger obstacle is what comes after this period, which is reverting Dr. Drew to a scumbag and a rapist. I actually think his inclusion in this story is one of the most consistently entertaining things about it. A while ago, I came to the realisation that the way Dr. Drew is written in this is very funny. My reading is that Dr. Drew, true to character, he is completely selfish, and he is only intrigued by that which might benefit himself. There is no great example of that in this issue, but the rest of the story has him not bothering to help at all and displaying zero fucks about Captain America's quest. There have been werewolf slayings lately. You saw one at the start. So Captain America and Dr. Drew go to investigate one of them. And Dr. Drew is so shit. Within seconds of arriving at the scene, he is attacked by a werewolf. And he is felled and needs Captain America to save him. This werewolf is actually Furiosa. Furiosa is an Iron Fist villain. She was one of the wolves that ate Iron Fist's parents. I am definitely not against this writer doing a big story that brings in all these werewolf characters or wolf-like characters. But the chief problem with Capwolf is that it tries to do far too many things, and it stumbles with pretty much all of them. Furiosa is caught by Moonhugger. That is our ending for this part. I don't think this is a very good cliffhanger. What's it teasing, really? Captain America coming face to face with Moonhugger? We only met Moonhugger a couple of pages ago. We don't really know anything about them. Furiosa being captured, she's been on like 2 pages. We don't even know this is Furiosa. I think it's not until a later issue that she is identified. Yeah, I think this is a weak cliffhanger. It starts off okay though, this story. I think that is the thing that anyone who reads this storyline will say. You wouldn't come away from part 1 thinking that this is going to be the whipping boy of all Captain America stories. It's okay. 7 thumbs up.